Hello everyone, it's Allison from Tisca, and today we are going to begin coloring our way through the solar system. If you want to go along with me, you just need something to color with. I just have basic little colored pencils here. I have a pen just to help outline stuff. Just makes it a little bit more clear, and then you need some paper. This is just regular old copy paper. You don't have to be fancy. You can be if you want to and use actual drawing paper, or you could just use whatever you have at hand. If you have sidewalk chalk, you could do that too, or even the back of this receipt, whatever you have on hand. So to start with, for our solar system, for it to be part of the solar system, it needs to be something that is in orbit around the sun. Now we talked about the sun a little bit before in a previous video. We know that the sun is a yellow dwarf. It is a main sequence star. That means it is not one of the biggest stars in the universe, not even close. It's actually fairly small, and it's undergoing a process called fusion, which we talked about already, where gravity and pressure are taking hydrogen and helium and all the other elements that are swirling around in the sun, and it's using that gravity and pressure and smashing them together, and that is changing them from one chemical element into something else, and that process again is called fusion. And through that process, the sun releases all sorts of light and heat, energy. Basically, we perceive it as light and heat, and that also creates something else called a heliosphere, which is a solar wind, where a wind is created anytime you have a change in temperature. So it's basically just blowing off this wind way out into outer space. And when I say way out into outer space, I mean like 80 to 100 astronomical units out into outer space. And you may remember from before that an astronomical unit is 93 million miles. That's the distance from the sun out into Earth. So 80 to 100 astronomical units, just multiply 80 to 100 by 93 million. That's some pretty powerful wind blowing around there in outer space. Now, the surface of the sun is about 27 million degrees Fahrenheit. And if you wanted to get an idea of about how big the sun is compared to Earth, just go look at your front door, just an average front door, and Earth would be about the size of a nickel. That's how big Earth is compared to the sun. That's the comparison that NASA uses anyway. Now, did you know that the sun is actually rotating just like the Earth does to have its day-night cycle? It's spinning as well. But the thing is, it's spinning faster at its poles. Like if the sun has its axis there, it's swirling around faster at its poles than it is at its equator. It takes 35 days for its poles to swirl around, but only 25 days for it to turn around at its equator. So it's kind of swirling around at different speeds depending on where you are on the planet. And the sun makes up about 99% of the matter in our solar system. It's most of the stuff. It is by far the biggest thing out in our solar system. So if you have any questions about the sun, feel free to leave them in the comment section of this video, and stay tuned for the next part. Thanks.